want you to merge your hands together and just pay attention to the words I have to say. In this life, nothing is guaranteed. You may try every pattern and formula you may want to achieve, but it is never guaranteed to work your way. You know, they say that Halloween never starts until November. And I finally found out today because the candy's on clearance all over. And you guys are looking at me like, what candy? I'm talking about the best candy out there. It's the 2 a.m. podcast, guys. That is the best snack you'll have today.
Sugar-free, vegan, non-GMO,
Yeah.
USDA Prime.
48 grams of bullshit.
Pasteurized.
Dude. Pasteurized.
48 grams of amino acids.
Zayd gets upset when I say vegan.
Yeah.
You can
I
see
know.
it in his eyes,
We started off the pod a little dark there for you, but
literally.
it is kind of dark in someone's world today, and we need to help our brother Zayd here get through the death of his 13-year-old cat.
Rip to the king.
Rest in peace.
I've already
It's-
been through the difficult part.
I know. It sucks, dude.
So, yeah.
It's hard because the memories and everything you've been through, that cat was there. It had its routines. And it sucks, but that is life, and you have acknowledged that, so that's fucking dope.
Absolutely.
That is dope.
And I've been through worse, so.
Let me ask you a question really
Mhm.
quickly, and this might be a very heavy question. and
Fair enough. I like
apologize-
heavy questions.
I apologize if it's too heavy per se, but
God damn.
your cat towards the end
Mm-hmm.
was your cat in like a lot of pain, and like was it obvious, for instance, or did it seem quiet and you just knew it was time for it to go because like it started slowing down?
Definitely quiet, but from what I've read, cats are very good at hiding pain. So
I
like
see.
only in very rare circumstances or very painful circumstances will they actually vocalize it.
The reason I asked
Mm-hmm.
is because when I was younger, I had a little black pug
Yeah.
named Bandit, and he had, if I remember correctly, stomach cancer or some like pancreatic cancer, something. And he used to just shit horrible black diarrhea
Jeez.
for like the last 3 days he was alive. And like he was a skinny pug as it
Mm.
was. Like he was just bones and skin that was just like not even draped over him. It was like on his body, like just a skeleton with skin pretty
Yeah.
much. And he was all
Mhm.
gray by the time, and we just knew it was time for him to go.
You
Mhm.
just know. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. As a pet owner, like seeing them go through their life, there's moments where you're like, something's up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we finally figured like it was the time. Right.
Man.
So they went to go drop him off, and my mom was in the room when they injected him with the stuff. And my mom said, "How long is it going to take?" And the
Mhm.
doctor said, "You can take all the time you need."
Mhm.
And then he just left the room. And she's holding on to Bandit for like a while, like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So long, she's like, "Oh, when is this actually going to kick in?" You know? And from how I remember the story going, the doctor comes back in and my mom says, "Oh, I'm ready for like the real injection, the final one." And he looks at her and says, "No, the first one was the real injection. He's probably been dead for like 5 or 10 minutes." And then
didn't
she just
realize?
drops him on the table.
She didn't realize?
She had no idea.
Wow.
Oh my god, dude.
Could you imagine?
That's actually so sad.
I
I mean,
know.
it makes sense because you're in an emotional state. Like, you're
Yeah.
not picking up on, is he breathing or not, or all this stuff. Like,
Well, dude, by the end, he was barely breathing as it was.
yeah.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny that, like, in that
Yeah,
moment when
it
she
just
realized,
kinda
she was
hit-
like, "Oh shit!" and just
Yeah, her
drops.
instant reaction was like, "Oh my god." Yeah.
But my question, the reason I even brought that up in the
Mhm.
first place, right, was primarily about like what were the signs, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Weight loss for sure. Not eating or drinking.
Yeah.
Barely any of that. What else? Rapid breathing, like you could tell it's labored breathing. And yeah, just hiding away, hiding in places where normally, like, there was one day where I found him sleeping in the closet, and that's when I knew, like, oh, this is for
yeah,
sure.
that's not
like-
normal. Yeah.
No, because cats hide away, and I'm sure do
Mhm.
dogs do that as well.
No, mine didn't. At least he
Mm.
was. I mean, he could barely move. So
yeah,
like,
normally cats just go to when they know it's time, they go to a quiet place.
Yeah.
It's just the
Man.
way it is.
That's
yeah,
that's very fascinating though. They like to go to the quiet place, kind of
Mhm.
like a human.
And it's interesting to see like the slow restriction of like just it's a slow process
Mhm.
if it's a natural death. And it's just like, okay, food's gone, water's gone, breathing starts to get worse,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Signs of the time.
Chapter's
Well,
over.
the main reason I brought it up
Mm-hmm.
is because
The main reason.
the main cubed,
Oh
not
shit!
squared,
He hit us with a triple main over here.
triple main. Is that I'm not a heaven or hell kind of guy.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know one thing, and it's regardless of however he was in life,
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, he wasn't doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at the very, very end, he probably is in a better place. Or at the very least, or at the very best, rather, he doesn't feel the pain anymore.
Exactly. That's my thought process.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what-
okay, sure, it's upsetting the first couple days, but you have to realize you have to have perspective.
Exactly.
Pain's gone. Any concept of him, I guess, is gone. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except in your mind.
except,
He'll always be there.
I mean,
carry the memories.
yeah, man. It's gonna be like the routines. It's kind of like
Mm.
it's like quitting smoking. You know, you're gonna get rid of the morning habit, the
Mhm.
afternoon habit, the evening habit. You know
That
what I'm saying?
3-day
Yeah.
hump.
Yeah, the habit.
Burgers.
Yes.
Gonna gain some weight. For
Yeah.
sure. But speaking of memories and thoughts and like just kind of generally
Calmness.
calmness would be a great word to describe it.
Mhm.
Episode 58.
It's
gonna
an
be-
interesting one.
it's gonna be an
a very
interesting one for sure.
I know a lot of we're probably gonna receive a lot of questions on this, but
Which is great.
How did this?
It's-
How did we even think of this topic?
I don't know.
I've
but
always been
it's-
fascinated by
well,
this
That's the
topic.
thing is that generally, like us three, we're kind of like on the same page with a lot of things. So this is our like daily talks formed
Mhm.
into one topic,
Mm-hmm.
which is the flow
Flow state.
state.
Just flow with it.
The flow state.
Welcome to episode 58 about the flow state of the
Yeah.
2 a.m. podcast. We're doing a deep dive into
Yeah.
what makes people focus better.
Exactly.
One of those things being the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's a mind tickler, dude.
It's a mind
it's a
tickler.
mind tickler.
It really is, and you know,
Your fucking combination of words,
Finds
man.
the secret
Yeah.
spot in the mind and gives it a
Yeah.
good tickle.
it's such an interesting topic, dude.
Well,
Now, how do we define the flow state? The flow state, essentially, obviously, for people that haven't taken a psychology class,
Mm-hmm.
the flow state is a state in which people are involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. So that means extreme focus into a point where the conscious becomes the subconscious
Mm-hmm.
and you are fully aware of every action or movement that you are doing. Tracing to the goal that you're trying to accomplish.
What is it? It's essentially the Matrix.
Literally.
I shit you not.
Okay. If the Matrix
it's the
was,
biological matrix.
yeah, exactly. If the Matrix was possible, it is the flow state.
Oh, I would agree. Have you ever been in a car crash?
Hell yeah.
No,
Have you?
no.
Did
Knock on-
Tom-
knock
I don't know why I
wood.
said it like that, but yeah.
Hell
I
yeah.
have. Hell yeah.
What was your experience with that car crash?
My experience was I do not remember anything, and the medical staff that's there tries to bring your memory back. You know, they're like, "What happened? Do you remember?" And you're just
Mhm.
like, "No, all I remember is sound and you guys flashing the light. That's it. I do not remember anything in between that. All I remember is that I had this weird adrenaline that wasn't bad adrenaline. Like I didn't want to mess anyone up,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just so aware of every little thing in my body to the point where it felt like if my dream was unlocked into the real world, kind of.
So you don't remember any
Dude,
of
all
the
I
actual
I
experience?
remember before and immediately after. I do not remember anything in between.
That's what's trippy.
It's so weird.
What's tripping me out is my dad described my dad used to want to be like a race car driver in a sense, so he started out on go-karts and eventually got to, I think it was like a World Cup cart or something like that.
Mhm.
Essentially, it's like an elongated go-kart that you lie down in.
Yeah.
Like you're completely on your back and the steering wheel is like right above your thighs, and that's how you're controlling it, and they hit like $120, $130. And he said one time he was racing, was doing $120,
Mm-hmm.
was entering into a corner, and since those things had such horrible blind spots, because you can't just get up and turn your head
Yeah.
to look at who's
Of
around.
course. Yeah,
You
you're
literally
going
have to sit up like you're lying down on a bed and
Yeah.
then turn around to see who's
Wow.
there. And the side mirrors are fucking useless. I mean, like
Yeah.
this is like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts to brake, lets off, enters into this corner at around like 90. And he was taking like the wide route, which is like good for apexing. But this dude was like, no, I'm going to take it on the inside
Yeah.
because he thought he could creep in. And so he goes in and clips my dad, and my dad just got launched. And all he remembers is noise and flashing, like lights flashing, which
Yeah.
is essentially you're just getting rattled. Like he got ragdolled all over the place. And he stood up afterwards, walked away from it, and the dude was like, you looked like Evel Knievel at Caesar's Palace. Like just getting the shit. And he was fine. He's like, I had no
It's
pain.
incredible. Yeah.
So that begs another thought. Like, not every, just because you're in a near, like, that's a near-death experience, right?
Oh, for sure.
Not every near-death experience has a flow state within it.
Not every flow state or not every near-death experience?
Yeah, because a flow state is there are very strict parameters that you have to meet in order to get into the actual mental state.
Got you.
So when I hear like
Yeah.
people forgetting the entire experience, that's not indicative of a flow state to
Yeah,
me.
but here's the thing, right? It's the way I felt. It's not really what I remembered,
Mhm.
right? Because everyone around me was so damn concerned, and even though I had blood all over my clothes,
Mhm.
right? I had split my
Your lip.
my bottom lip open, and basically lost a little tiny chunk of it.
Mhm.
But I was just bleeding everywhere, and everyone was like, oh my god, like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Can we go to the hospital now? Like, I'm so
Ready to just get
calm, but I'm
patched up.
so ready to make moves.
Did you feel peaceful?
I felt very peaceful. I was like, this was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It happened. I am now going through the process. Everything is fine. It took 14 hours for me to get checked in because
Mhm.
everyone decided to get shot that night for some reason. Everyone that was walking in
Reminds
there
me
was
of-
just like,
yeah.
yeah.
Reminds me of a similar experience.
I think we all know that one.
Yeah.
But
God, everybody just decided to get shot like it was cool. Like
Yeah.
I guess.
you say it like they wanted to get shot.
I know. But it's just part of my my tone. I
So
guess.
so scroll up actually. I want to see you guys try to pronounce this guy's name. Go up.
Wait.
All the way up.
Oh,
All the
so
way up.
Down, down.
Zayd is
There we go.
describing the man who coined the flow state.
Yes.
Mihaly.
He's a Hungarian American psychologist.
Okay, hold on. Can I say this? Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Not even
He-
close.
What the hell?
Try.
Try it.
Look at him trying to decode like he's
not
trying to
even
get
gonna
into
try.
a flow state to fucking decipher this guy's name.
Mihaly.
There's a lot of silent letters, by the way. And it's actually,
What? Melee.
when you look at it, it's
Miley.
not. It doesn't represent how easy the name is to say.
Dude, goddamn.
I'm
No, I
having a
can't-
very difficult. Is
Yeah,
it
I can't even
Mihaly?
bother.
How do you pronounce the first name? Because that'll help me out with the last.
Mihai.
Mihai?
Yeah.
What the hell? Oh, okay. So the L. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this guy's
Mihai-
name.
It's Mihai. Mihai Sint Mihai?
Now apply the silent L to the last name.
Mihai Sent Mihai?
Nope.
Csikszentmihalyi. How do you pronounce it?
It's Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Csikszentmihalyi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, this is how you spell this. Mihaly. His last name is spelled Csikszentmihalyi.
Took about 4 hours to.
It took about 4 hours to freaking spell it out. That's
So this guy, he made the flow state basically his life's work.
okay.
And his job is basically just researching
Mhm.
everything about it. He wrote a book on it.
He found the processes of like getting into the flow state. right?
Yeah, the
Something
book is
like that.
called Flow: The Psychology of Optimal Experience. But he basically outlines how this mental state plays a role in every single thing within society.
Mhm.
Sports, art, writing, cinematography,
Business.
music, business.
Yeah.
This applies to everything you can think of.
That's very true. And you can tell that it's very popular within the athletic department, the creative department, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the top people you'll see that really speak about it and speak highly of it and like
Yeah.
things that they need to like keep a trace of how to get in and out of the flow state.
And the most interesting thing to me, at least, is this is what people are chasing with whatever they're trying. Whether
Yeah.
you're taking drugs, whether you're playing the guitar, they
Mhm.
are chasing a flow state.
Yeah. So if you've ever had a feeling, basically, where it was just like, for some reason, let's just say you were working on a music project, right? Forever. Okay. And it always felt the same. It was nothing different. But there was this one time 3 years ago where you had a night where plans got canceled and you decided to make a beat. And for some reason, you were in such a great, calm state of mind that you made something beautiful and you felt amazing about,
Mm-hmm.
right? That will forever stick to you. In the future, you're going to want to go back to that. You're going to be like, man, I remember that day. That day was weird. What did I do differently? Right? So I guess.
But apparently, this guy's an anomaly.
What-
Because we had a
don't
conversation
know.
about this.
Yeah, I know.
earlier.
So should we save that for the end of the podcast?
Yeah,
Or
we
should
could-
we
Sure,
save
sure,
that
sure.
for the moment when we get to the personal experiences?
Yeah.
The
about
personal
it?
experience.
That would be a great moment to bust that out.
As of now, do you want to talk more about this guy?
Would you like to discuss more about the life of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi?
Well, about a specific life, I don't know that much, but I just know that he is the godfather of flow.
Yeah.
The godfather of
But
flow.
here's the thing: it also finds its way. Go up a little bit. It also finds its way in our language. So you
Mhm.
have being in the zone.
Mhm.
That's a common description of the flow state.
Sure.
Being in the pocket, which is mainly for musicians like jazz players and all that.
That's also a football term, is it not?
I'm not. I'm
Well,
not
I'm pretty sure
sure.
being in the pocket is when you're in the this like the zone that's created by the offensive lineman,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like and you're the quarterback, and it's essentially that little safe space
Mm.
that you're in. If I'm not mistaken, where you have like a
Probably.
few seconds of being in the pocket and you got to make a decision like right now.
Yeah.
This is the one I know though. He's gone mental.
Mento.
Does that mean you're in the flow though?
Well, here's the thing,
Because I've heard British people talk shit where they're like, "Oh, he's gone mental. He's gone crazy." Like,
No, well, not necessarily. Like, you could be like, this guy's a psychopath, but
I put that down just in a sports sense because I've heard that from commentators who are describing people who are in a flow state.
yeah.
you know what a really good alternative to "he's gone mental" would be?
Hmm.
And I know this is kind of dorky, but a lot of esports players, like a lot of the dudes that do Apex Legends or I don't want to say Fortnite, but I guess I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
or even
CSGO.
CS:GO, PUBG, stuff like that. Whenever they do like a really crazy run,
Yeah.
they always just say, "I'm insane,
Yeah.
I'm insane."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's unconscious is another one. To your point of bringing the conscious to the unconscious, an important thing is that in order to get into this state, you have to be skilled at something.
Yeah. You have to have mastered it in a sense, or at least mastered one aspect of the thing that you're trying to do. Like, for
Mhm.
example, I don't know, in your world, EQing.
That
If you have mastered EQing, but you suck at compressing, it's kind of like, at least you can, if you're EQing a large thing, you can technically hit flow state
Mhm.
where it becomes, the subconscious just kicks in, and all of a sudden you're not really focused from the frontal area. you're focused back here, and you're just kind of like enjoying it. Like this is a song playing in an empty Toys R Us right now, and you're
Mhm.
just masterfully
Man, I've got.
playing around with it.
Sorry, I there's so many things I want to say, but I'm gonna save it for the experiences
Oh man, I can't wait.
section.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you look at key figures like David Goggins is a one that's very prominent right now.
Yeah, you wonder how, like, for example, all the things he talks about, it sounds insane, obviously,
Yeah.
when you really think about it.
How the fuck are you able to run like 200, 300 miles or like 14 hours nonstop?
That dude is just geared different. Now, I'm not saying the flow state doesn't play a part in that because
Mhm.
it for sure does.
Mhm.
But he's just got internal motivation, unlike anybody else around.
Yeah. He's
I
like
mean-
internally scarred by something that motivates the crap out of him for sure.
Like there's stories of dudes that have trained with him, and like there was a time where this dude was in the gym with him and he was hitting bench or something like that. And he had headphones on. He took them off because he heard somebody yelling.
Mhm.
Turns out it was David Goggins on the bench. He's like, they don't know shit. They don't know me. They don't
Oh
know
my
me."
god, dude.
Like just in the gym,
Yeah.
just saying the shit to get through this set.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if it was Planet Fitness.
Guy's wild.
And the rings, the alarm started going off.
The lunk alarm, is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
I think Goggins is the exception there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that dude's just,
He is Planet Fitness.
he can dig deeper than so many other people. Like, I don't even know how to explain that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Mhm.
Top level athletes obviously know how to dig.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know how to find that spot deep down, whether it be found in the flow state or they just know how to get there. That will push them a little bit farther than the person that's to their left or right. Goggins doesn't find that little space. He just fucking dives into that little space like it's a swimming pool
Mhm.
and does laps in it while he's doing whatever workout he's in or
Yeah.
any running, because that guy, not only does he just keep going at the physical pain barrier, he just tries to reject it outright. He's like, I don't care
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to black out. I don't care I'm going to vomit. I could die. He's like, right now I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mm.
And there's nothing that's going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. Period.
He's so focused on that. The root, dude. It's crazy.
Like, he's the guy where he will say, if he thinks about being tired, he'll go run 10 miles. Because
Wow.
he's like, I will not be lazy.
Yeah,
I need
I will
more
because
not
that.
succumb
he
to those
acknowledges that a
temptations.
thought really does control.
Now, maybe that
everything, if
is
you
a
give into
form
it.
of the flow state, like a very, very extreme version of one.
What is?
Just him getting,
No, well,
him
that's
getting
what I
into the
think.
zone like
Maybe
that.
since he's mastered everything else, he's probably mastered the ins and outs of flow state as well. Or he knows at what point he's going to hit it during his run. Or,
Well, I mean, this gets into the brain chemistry that we have
Yes,
up.
100%
Look at
right.
number 4, anandamide, which is a neurotransmitter, pain relief. How do you think Goggins is able to endure all that pain? He's got all of those. He's got that cocktail going in his brain.
His brain
constantly.
is completely depleted.
Yeah, dude. I get, for sure, I get a lot of serotonin. For sure. Dude, for some reason, like, for example, Thursday nights when we hit up the driving range, we go take our clubs
Yeah.
out, put in my AirPods. Dude, nothing. The best mix for me is background music in my head using headphones.
Mozart.
Obviously.
Serotonin City
yeah,
right there, dude.
Oh my god, that would be my stage name, serotonin. Just make chill ass beats all day.
Instead of an S, it's a Z.
Serotonin.
Serotonin.
Did a DJ serotonin?
But why do they call it the most? This is known as the most addictive state
Mm-hmm.
that a human being can experience. By the way,
Because, well, think about it this way: if you're always facing chatter, endless thoughts, blah 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 blah, and you listen to Alan Watts to try to get rid of them, you realize that you're actually, without even knowing, you're trying to hit the flow state. You're trying to be calm and collected and knowing exactly what you're doing at this point,
mm-hmm.
right? To accomplish this thing that you want to do right now. Even though it seems impossible, the numbers lay out to be impossible, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Could be running out of time. I don't know, but
Well, something
you
that-
need serotonin. You need to be calm,
You
so
need
you
all of
know how
these.
to attack properly.
Well, the cool and interesting thing about all of these chemicals, which I'm about to list off for you in just a moment, is we produce them naturally
We do.
all day, every day. just at incredibly lower levels than the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And Zaid said something interesting a couple seconds ago about how the flow state is almost like the world's craziest drug.
It is.
Because with other drugs, well, you just get a hit of one thing in one go.
Mm-hmm.
For the flow state, you get 5 of the craziest chemicals your brain produces all in one hit. In one go. And then it lasts potentially for hours.
If that isn't the best
So-
drink you've had, I don't
And
know.
like-
Drink the Kool-Aid.
And these are all brain chemicals as we're describing
Yeah.
them, such as norepinephrine, which increases the focus, regulates the muscle time reaction,
Mm-hmm.
gives you those quick fiber, instant reaction if you need them.
Quick hit.
Gives you that dopamine, a neurotransmitter.
Mhm.
Everybody knows what dopamine is. Shit, we get dopamine from eating McDonald's.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We get it from drinking a Coke. Get it from a lot of stuff, including the flow state. And what it does is it increases focus and also increases your ability to recognize patterns.
I didn't even know dopamine played a role in pattern recognition.
Well, what's interesting is dopamine helps you increase your pattern recognition. However, if you're addicted to food, like let's just say hypothetically McDonald's again. Sorry, McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
But like
It's all good.
if you keep eating it and you're consuming it, somehow your brain isn't recognizing the pattern of, hey, I keep eating this bullshit. I feel horrible when I don't eat it. And then when I go back to eat it, I feel great again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one pattern it can't recognize.
Yeah.
That or it's the one it refuses to recognize.
Also, if I remember correctly, you can have there's a phenomenon where you can downregulate neurotransmitters. So if you abuse a drug, for example, that produces a lot of dopamine, if you keep pushing that behavior, that will actually kill neurotransmitters that produce dopamine and serotonin and all the other ones.
And also the receptors for the dopamine are usually the ones that
Yeah,
die
the
out
receptors. There we go.
as well.
They
so
get
you're-
weakened.
quite literally your ability to process dopamine will go away if there's too much of it.
Yeah.
Now another one of the chemicals is serotonin, provides the calmness and invokes happiness.
Give me that happiness, baby.
Give me some good happiness with a side of fries, baby. We already talked about
Call that happy. meal.
anandamide,
Anandamide.
excuse me, which was the pain relief, enhances lateral thinking or creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and also endorphins.
The good old endorphins.
Just some good old-fashioned endorphins, baby, with that pain relief
Ooh. You'll never stop
and,
socializing.
helps with social behavior.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
An interesting thing that Mihai actually mentioned, or one of his most commonly said statements is, without flow, you can't be satisfied in your life.
Which to a degree makes sense, right? Because these are
Yeah.
a bunch of, in one way or another, feel-good chemicals
Mhm.
that your brain produces. So like imagine way back in the fucking day, like hunter-gatherer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you aren't in the flow state on a hunt, are you going to get dinner for that night?
No.
You're going to find food to provide for the village? Going to bring back some
commune?
some tasty gains
It's gonna be some shit.
and possibly a pelt, which is going to end up on your floor, or better yet, you could wear it.
Yeah.
Probably not. So we as humans, this is just a hypothesis, right? We adapted with the flow state because without it, we fell behind.
Mm-hmm.
And now, in our modern society, we focus solely on one of these 5 rather than achieving all 5 at the same once.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We stimulate one sense and we do it so much to the point where we actually can kill our ability to do so.
And we wonder why most people are miserable.
Exactly.
They aren't able to focus. They have the attention span of a goldfish.
Mhm.
They're abusing drugs, so they're putting all of this out of whack. They don't have mastery in anything because they can't focus. It's not a mystery.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery why a lot of people are
obviously,
miserable.
as the times, as we advance further and further into the future, the rapid pace of everything coming out, technology, all that stuff, I think it gets harder to hit flow state at that point
Yeah.
because our chemicals just take forever to hit how they would normally hit.
Mm-hmm. It's just distraction, dude.
It is distraction.
Distraction is a motherfucker.
Social media. We have so many outlets of just getting these like chemicals separately. Serotonin, endorphins. What is it? It wasn't melatonin. It was What was
Nephorep
it?
or
Dopamine?
norepinephrine.
The happy one.
norepinephrine.
Dopamine. Dopamine.
Neuropine frine.
Hey, hey, hey. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
So, do you want to talk about how to reach the flow state?
Well, that's
It's
into
different
quite
for
a-
everyone,
Quite a rabbit hole.
but
Actually, I'd go
I could start it off very simple,
Mm-hmm.
right? It starts off with, have you hit the flow state or not? If you think you've hit the flow state before, try to remember what steps you took. What was the sleep like the night before?
Mm-hmm.
What did you eat the night before?
Mhm.
What did you eat that week? You know, what was your schedule like? What was your thought process like? Were you employed? Were you unemployed? You know, like I think every question matters, and it probably affected.
Yeah, you have to take a holistic approach to it.
Yeah,
Because if your sleep's out of whack, your nutrition's out of whack, your
Yeah.
brain's not functioning at the best rate.
exactly. Like I think a lot of parts of your body and mind need to be at a green light, kind of
Mhm,
like
mhm.
everything's good to go. You know, we have initiated. We're launching flow state in 3, 2. You know, like
Blast off.
Why risk running the yellow?
yeah, exactly.
Just go when the light's green.
Exactly.
But also, this is an important thing to think about.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if people assume this. It's not a black and white answer. It's not like you're in it or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
There are degrees to it. So you can have a flow state that completely just fucks your mind up and like completely changes your perspective on life. Or you can just go to the computer, write something for 30 minutes, and you'd get into a mini kind of state like
Yeah.
that.
I feel like we've all hit mild forms, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially when it comes to essays. We've all been there, right?
Especially this
You,
man.
yeah, you have what?
That's my true flow state.
Let's just
right
say
there.
you just finished a group project because on your own because the rest of your team did not help you, right? And you still had your paper to write.
College.
We've all been there, right? You have 11 hours, before class, and then you have to submit this 10-page essay, and you're just losing your mind. But what do you do instead? You hop on the computer. You
Mhm.
start writing. At the initial thought of writing, you're like, I just need to get this over with. In the middle of writing, what tends to happen, right, is that you're in such a good flow that you're just like endlessly like, oh my God, I can add this in here too. And then like I can cite that and then just be like,
Mhm.
ooh, oh yeah, I forgot about that point, you know? And all of a sudden you're engaging in these thoughts and you're like slightly enjoying this at this point, even though you were just stressing yourself out
Mhm.
maybe an hour ago.
Which is actually the first step to, like, there are 3 stages to the flow state.
You got to
The first one is struggle.
Stop the thought.
Mhm.
Literally stop the thought, get to work. And I guarantee you'll be in some sort of flow. For sure. Granted, you have a great environment, you know what I mean? Environment that you feel comfortable working in, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Obviously, the flow state is mainly good to do work, whether that's win tomorrow's match or get that essay out with a good grade. we don't want any
Hopefully.
failures in here. You know.
And it's not just good for work, like getting work done. It's good for taking yourself to a whole different level. Like when you hear people, comment on like Michael Jordan, for example,
Mhm.
or these superstar like BMX riders, these extreme sports guys.
Travis
Mhm.
Pastrana would be a great example.
Yeah, it's like these guys, they're almost doing the impossible.
Mhm.
They're doing shit that we cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
But they're pushing themselves to a limit, and they're very skilled at what they do to be able to get into that state and then achieve like it's almost like exponential.
What was that quote?
Without flow state.
We read a quote the other day, and it had something to do with even the masters of sports are learning till this day or something.
Yeah, you're always learning. Like
I forgot
Yeah,
what it
you
was,
never-
but
you
that
never
that
stop
quote,
learning.
yeah, but that quote was just, no matter how much you've mastered, you're like even if you're a master at your craft, you're still striving to
For greatness.
not
it's
even
for
greatness.
it's for the better you.
I completely forgot the quote.
Because no matter how
Yeah.
good people think you are at something, there's always a way to get better.
Mhm.
Not always.
There's always a way to take it to that next step.
Mhm.
Yeah. No matter what, even if you're the best in the world,
Yeah.
you're still learning.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And that's what the quote's about.
Yeah.
There is no perfect version of you because you're always a work in progress. The only time where the progress stops is the day you die, because that's the only time that you can't continue the work.
Like Barney
Mhm.
Stinson said, it's when the possible reaches the impossible, and we have the possible.
Barney
the
Simpson.
simple.
Barney Stinson, dude. Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
Components of flow. Now this is where it gets really juicy. These are all the
Succulent.
Red meat, I love. All right, cool.
these are all the factors that you have to meet in order to even think about getting into the state.
Meat. Anyway.
Now it's not 6, it's 8, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Actually, more than I'm pretty sure there are overlapping ones. But number 1, of course, complete concentration on the task.
The most difficult part, probably.
Can't be scrolling through Instagram.
No phones. If anything, please lock your phone away. It is, I cannot stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I was able to do good in life, at least up here, was to stop caring about my phone as much and think of it as your old Nokia where it only receives calls. Straight up.
Think about it like this, because I was thinking about this on the way over here, the
Mhm.
drive, and I was watching this video, trying to do some more research on the flow state, and this video was like, put your phone into airplane mode and put it in another room, like the
Yeah.
advice your
And you're like, "Wait,
parents
but-
would give you.
But I'm
Basic
doing this
advice.
on my phone. No.
But here's the thing that I had
Yeah.
to think about. I was like, well, what if like somebody wants to call me? Like, what if like there's an emergency? And then I had to think about it. Is there really going to be an emergency?
How many fucking
No.
times has there been an emergency?
Or better yet, how many people are going to call you and hit you up and it's like a dire situation?
That rarely happens.
Because nothing on Instagram is a dire situation. Nothing
No.
on Twitter is a dire situation.
No.
But how often does somebody call you with information that determines whether somebody lives or dies, or better yet, somebody that you love is already dead?
No, you'll probably get a phone call like, "Hey, my car broke down. I'm like 20 minutes outside of LA. Can you come pick me up?" Shit like that.
Yeah.
That's-
Something like that. That's like the extreme cases that
And
we faced with.
That's what I was worried about, was shit like that. And then I had to think about it. How often does that happen?
Yeah.
Not enough for me to be able to turn my phone off and put it
Yeah.
in another room.
Yeah.
So just go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really, really worried about it, set a timer on your laptop or whatever you're working on for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's really bothering you, wait till the end of that and then go check it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't go on Instagram, Twitter. Don't do that shit. Just check to see if somebody called or texted, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's done, get your ass back to the chair another hour and a half, 2 hours, or however long your work
Exactly.
schedule is.
Dude, trust me, man. After living in like the early 2000s, as I can still remember things, right? We had a landline. That's it. If you were home,
I
if you
remember
weren't
that, yeah.
home, or even if you were home, you literally had to listen for the phone all the way up at the front of the house.
Yeah.
So think about that. The difference between now and then is that you were actually disconnected when you were home. Dude,
Yeah.
and we could do it again. It's fine. We
Mhm.
lived like that. We can live again like that.
It's going to be harder, but it's very
going to be
possible.
harder, but guess what? The more you practice that these days, the healthier your mentality will
Mhm.
be for sure.
Absolutely.
100,000%.
Learn how to communicate. That's like the baseline of that.
Yeah, I did. That's why I hate when people go like, "Oh, why haven't you been answering my texts?" And it's like, "Well, I've been throwing my phone on the bed and just forgetting about it." Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's like, "What? Like, are you insane? What do you mean? Are you insane? Why do you need an immediate response? I don't get it."
Are you insane?
Like, think about it. Back in the day, you know what used to happen? I go to the skate park on Friday nights, skate, talk about something, and if I had to dip, we'll be like, "All right, we'll talk about it next time." Cool. 2 weeks go by. Hey, remember that time when I was? Blah, blah, blah? Yeah, dude. Guess what? Called it. All right, cool, man. What happened? Oh, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We continue the conversation.
Much
Did
more
he have to text me
straightforward.
about it? Did he have to MySpace me about it? No. It wasn't important. That's how
MySpace.
you know that things aren't really important anymore.
Mhm.
You don't need it, bro. Focus on what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
And that actually ties in perfectly with our second component of flow, having a clarity of
Bring it on.
goals.
Yep.
And the reward in mind and having an immediate feedback.
Yes.
Here's the thing. The goal of flow isn't immediate feedback. Flow helps you achieve what's called delayed gratification.
I love that.
The point of flow shouldn't be like when you open your phone, for instance, you get a text. Oh my God, somebody like, oh, I need to respond. No, it's I'm doing work now for a better tomorrow.
Mhm.
That's the immediate feedback section of this.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Now, with the reward in mind, that's good for any task that you undergo. Why am I doing this? That should be the first question you ask yourself,
Mhm.
unlike the people at Quibi. Do you know what Quibi is?
Oh,
Those were people that didn't ask, what's our goal?
Yeah.
Or better yet, they did and they came up with the wrong answer.
Mhm.
Quibi, for those that don't know, was the attempt at a digital streaming service that provided footage that was, or like content that was only 15-ish minutes in length.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole goal was essentially, they were outright with like, or very upfront with what they were trying to do. The whole point was to hack your brain because people don't like to spend hours on content,
Mhm.
especially like podcasts and movies and TV shows and shit. But they're totally fine with watching a 5 to 10 minute long YouTube video.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, let's just do that. So it's only 10 to 15 minute long episodes, but there's a shit ton of them in a series.
Mhm.
And then there's a lot of different series.
Didn't they raise billions in like a couple weeks span?
They raised in total 1.75 billion. And the only reason I know this is I just did a little paper on it. They raised 1.75 billion in startup donations from like Fortune 500 companies such as Facebook, Apple,
Damn. Yeah.
like a whole bunch of people. And they only returned like 300 or 350 million of it. And they had to fire like the entirety of their 200-person staff.
Oof.
It's like the biggest disaster you could go through.
Yikes, dude.
Yeah. Do you remember how many ads there were for that?
Yeah.
I still kind of get residual ads every
I've never
now and
seen
then.
one.
Really?
Yeah,
I got an insane amount of them on YouTube.
it's insane.
It is insane, you're right.
What I like about the immediate feedback part, at least as an athlete, is that it's very black and white. It's like, okay, this pass is good or it's not. This shot is good or it's not. So that's why I love soccer, for example, because during a 90-minute game, I'm able to. It gets me into the flow not only because I have mastery in it, but I get the immediate results. Like, it's either I'm doing well or doing not. How can I change my approach?
Yeah, like you want to curve this guy real quick,
Yeah.
right? You know from the initial first, like, hip flex whether this is gonna go right or not.
It's a game of iteration.
Mhm.
So you just have to keep going about it. It's just how it is.
Yeah, repetition, repetition, repetition. Nice.
But so here we have number 3, transformation of time.
Mhm.
This is the big one, or at least the one that most people are going to notice.
Now, is this something you can control? I don't think it is.
I don't know if this is something you can control.
This is like adrenaline, and
It's-
to me, when it comes to time play or something like that, the speed of things, you know, like for example, something can feel like 10 minutes when really it was 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, because you're so focused on every single movement.
If anything, this is just an indicator that you're actually in flow.
Absolutely.
You know what a good comparison of that would be? The FPS of a shot.
Yes.
Like you
Ah.
could record 10 seconds of footage at 10,000 frames per second. That's a lot of data.
That's like 9 minutes and
process.
50 seconds of.
Exactly. It's a lot of data to hold on to, process, whatever.
Mhm.
Or you could film an hour of footage, or sorry, like let's just go with 10 minutes in that instance, an hour or 10 minutes of footage at a normal 24, 30 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, it's very strong, like drawn out,
Mhm.
long feeling, but you could get a lot more work done in that 10 minutes than in those
Exactly.
10 seconds.
I could have had 7 shots in that. you know?
Exactly.
Boom, 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 boom. Like 10
Yeah.
minutes, load, clip, whatever.
100%.
Yeah. But that 10 minutes, it would literally be like, it would look like it's still. And really all you did was you took what was it? A 10-second footage?
10-second footage at 10,000 frames per second.
Jesus, yeah.
You know, honestly,
That's the slowing down and speeding
Yeah.
up of time.
to this day, it still amazes me how, like, for example, I'll go into practice.
Mhm.
It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour practice.
Yeah.
But from the moment I warm up, put my cleats on, it goes by like that. It's just like, I'm like, practice is over? How is it over?
Yeah.
I want it to go on forever. Like,
Yeah. No, I totally get you. It's kind of like if you've ever been in a fight, obviously. Most fights I've been in I was not involved with any party. It just happens to be like, you know, someone thought I was someone else or
side throws down, bro.
like dumb stuff like
Don't
that.
catch these. Don't
Right.
catch these hands. He's
Don't
ready.
catch these hands.
He's in the flow state. He's
yeah,
ready.
like this one time, there was a fight, right? Some guy got elbowed, and then he fell towards me, right? So then I fell on someone else, and that guy just immediately started swinging, and I'm
Oh,
like, "Whoa,
Jesus.
yeah, all right, cool." From that moment, the moment I got touched in the face was the moment my adrenaline kicked in,
Was the
and
moment
from
that-
there, apparently someone had 5-minute footage of all this crap. All right, 5 minutes, and in my head it lasted 10 seconds.
My inner John Wick came out.
Like it was just, it's a warp speed. It's weird. It's so weird. You cannot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it happens I mean, not just it happens across all
Yeah,
all
my
experiences
inner
in your
John
life.
Wick. I just thought of it.
Well, like as scary as the situation as that is, another component that we have
Yeah.
beautifully ties in with it, and that's the effortlessness and ease, right? In that moment, you eased your way into a, we'll call it a flow state, because I imagine that's what it was like,
Yeah.
or what it felt like. It was easy to get in, and then once you were in there, you knew everything, or your body kind of just took over, and it's like, I'm going to do everything I need to do to get out of this.
Yeah.
And then by the time it was done, you're like, what?
Eyes are
Literally.
glazed over like what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think when people go on, this is a really big jump. Do you know how when some people, if they're very violent, it's called they just see red? Do you know what I'm saying?
I've heard that
Yeah.
before.
Well, it comes from bullfighting when they hold the red
Ah,
tarp or whatever in front of a bull. That's what they charge at
yeah.
because they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that people that see red are kind of in a flow state like that, where afterwards they're like, what just happened?
Well, why are they so motivated to fight in the first place?
That's a
I
that's a
think
greater
it's to get to
question.
that place.
It might be.
I
That's
100%
the
think.
that's the question that we're asking.
Yeah.
Well,
We
Here-
don't know.
here's something I wrote today on my story to get people kind of like when the episode comes out, they can be like, "Oh,
At Saeed
Saeed talked about
Stop
this."
thinking about deep shit, bro.
So this is what I
Stop thinking.
This is what I wrote today. Obviously, number 4. What was it? Number 4? Yeah, the experience of intrinsically rewarding.
The experience is intrinsically rewarding.
Yes. So I wrote the word comfort. Comfort. What do you think of when you think of comfort? Ease, calmness.
No.
Is it wrong that when I think of comfort, I think of the Southern Comfort commercial where they got this really fat dude to walk around in a Speedo,
Yeah.
and they just play this song in the back. It's like, la 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 la
Dude.
la la, and he's just patrolling up and down the beach, and
Yeah.
like these chicks are like, ooh.
Oh my god. I think of like hot cocoa with like
With
some
comfort,
fireworks.
I've brainwashed myself. I think of all negative things.
What?
It's just personal development shit. I swear to God.
That's comfort to you. Okay. Fucking-
I
Just-
object to comfort.
Or better yet, we'll call it chronic comfort that leads to all
Okay.
the negative things.
So to all the normies out there,
You tell
comfort.
the normies.
To everybody that's not fucked up like us.
Well, comfort is a warm feeling. That's what it's supposed to be, right? That's why there's
Yeah.
comfort food. That's
Mhm.
why there's comfortable clothing.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people relate the two words home and comfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's if
You're
you're
comfortable
That's
at
if your
home.
home is a comfortable space.
Exactly.
It's not if you're
Some
doing
people's
domestic
homes
abuse.
Are,
Well, come on.
Yeah.
I know.
Some people's homes are not equipped for that.
Yes.
So it's-
Yeah,
it
that's
sucks,
true. It's
you know?
not for everybody. Home is comfort. But
Exactly. But generally, so this is what I wrote today, actually. I put comfort is more than a word. It is a deep feeling that we fight stress to find. It's a state of mind instilled into each and every one of us. It's just up to us to unlock it.
I agree with that. Because I think the goal of at least getting into flow is to be comfortable. Like if you want to get to that state, you have to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
Because if you're all frantic and you don't know how to react, you're not going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to give yourself time to
Give yourself some fucking hours.
for yourself, obviously. Time with yourself, that's because you know how like flow state is in stages, right? You need to
Mhm.
unlock certain stages to get to that flow state.
Yeah.
I think you need to be comfortable within yourself.
Oh yeah.
100,000%. You need to know who the hell you are,
Mm-hmm.
what this means to you, what you mean to you. You need to talk to yourself more. I can confidently say not a lot of people do that. Just because we do doesn't mean a lot of people do.
I definitely don't think a lot of people talk to themselves, and it's
Mhm.
evident. It's evident in like a lot of what's known as standard behavior nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a lot of people, I think it's fair to say, are very intrinsically motivated. Very self-centered would be
Yeah.
another word to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just really sat down and talked to yourself, like, for example, this is a prime example because it's so synonymous across the country and the globe. Which restaurant or place that you can purchase food at usually or stereotypically has horrific customers?
Denny's,
Denny's is a good one,
Norm's,
or Norm's is also good. Not what I'm thinking, though.
Cheesecake Factory,
Are you thinking of a specific
What?
restaurant or?
Starbucks.
Starbucks. How are we forgetting? Well,
Starbucks
okay.
usually has some of the worst customers because they're so picky, so bitchy,
Mm,
so
Mhm.
specific that if you got half of an extra pump
Oh,
of
I was-
liquid sugar in my drink,
Oh my god.
I will not only vomit it on the spot, I will sue the store.
I will speak
Throw-
to your manager.
Yeah, throw the cup directly at your nearest employee, and just
Yeah.
And then she expects like 4 gift cards or something.
Now, the reason why I
She-
even
well, I don't know
bring
why I
that up
said
in the
she,
first
but
place
he.
is
Same thing.
the reason I bring it up is because go home.
Yeah.
Because most people that are being shitty don't even know that they're being shitty
Mhm.
in the
Yeah,
first place,
yeah.
right? Because ignorance is bliss,
Mhm.
right? So if you somehow found yourself in a state where you know you're a shitty customer, you know you make the lives of the people that work at Starbucks hell, and you sit down and be like, what if I worked there? Like, how would I feel if somebody talked to me that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe I shouldn't be that mean. Like, maybe I should, try to be understanding that there's a line that's going down the block. Everybody has their own specific order. Now they have online orders coming in, and there's only like 4 employees in this Starbucks. And these people are managing hundreds of orders per hour, right? Or per every other hour or whatever. Maybe I should just go and be like, hey, I know my order is really complicated, and I apologize, but let's give it a shot. So
Yeah.
then you read it out.
So he
You know.
literally gives her a shot.
You read.
That's not what I ordered.
Here's
Read it
2
out.
extra pumps for you.
Continue.
Read it out. If you get the drink
Yeah.
and it's not 100% what you wanted, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't be a shitty customer.
Just be self-aware. That's
Yeah.
what we ask from human
Yeah.
beings. Just
That's
be
okay.
self-aware. Just be like, okay, let's just say, for example, you were actually high-key pissed off, right? And everyone knows that about that extra half pump of fucking
Well,
syrup.
everyone knows because you already shouted it at
Yeah,
the employee. but
exactly.
continue.
That's why I said high-key. So
This ain't subtle.
this ain't subtle at
no.
all. So yeah, let's just say that was the case, right? Maybe I would be forgiving if you took like 2 minutes to just like breathe it out and go, I overreacted a little bit. I'm sorry, but I cannot have that extra pump, So can you please fix that? Then I'd be like, okay, yeah, at least she or he is trying to be more self-aware and just like take back what they just did. That's more respectable.
Just
is
don't
it
be a
not?
shitty customer, bro.
Don't be a shitty
Yeah,
customer.
just
Don't be a shitty.
Just don't.
Wait,
be
wait. I want to address one thing.
One more
Um,
thing. One more thing.
When it comes to, so there's actually 2 things I want to address. Intrinsic motivate. So you have intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. When we speak of intrinsically rewarding, that means you're doing the activity for the sake of the activity itself,
Mhm.
not to gain anything, not to win awards, not to be looked at as cool to your fucking friends. It's just because you love to do the thing itself. And I'm sure you have playing the guitar, making music. You do that for the thing itself, right?
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Anyways, you
That's
have
not a
to.
yes or a no, by the way.
Okay.
I'll explain later.
Oh. We.
But the issue with why a lot of people don't get into flow is because they're focused on extrinsic motivation. How can I be famous? How can I win this Grammy? How can I do that? Instead of focusing on the performance, they're focusing on the rewards of a good performance.
Well, what if the reward is what they care about, which is obvious because it's exactly what they're striving for? So wouldn't the intrinsic motivation be, I want the award because I want the recognition.
Well, that shouldn't
Couldn't that
be
be an intrinsic
that
motivation?
I don't think that should be your main focus at
N-
all.
I
Because,
agree.
But
for-
one of
for
the
example-
components in this in the components of flow that we've listed
Yeah.
is having the reward in mind.
Yes, you have it in mind, but that is not your focus because flow state is about focus. Now, are you going to focus on doing a good job or are you going to focus on making that money?
Well, in order to make that money, usually you have to do a good job, right?
It's
Yeah,
it's
so
a
that's
part
why
of it.
You gotta dissect it and be like, this is the main group.
This-
It's the mastery in the craft. It's
Mhm.
not the reward.
This was the part of our components of flow that, as you can tell right now, I had some questions about for you
Mhm.
guys to answer.
Sure.
Please ask.
So, you said extrinsically motivated
yeah.
for the goal, for the fame, whatever. Usually to get to that point, I mean, nowadays it's not as difficult with shit like TikTok, right? You can just
Mhm.
dance to music that was made by people way more talented than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then get millions of followers, whatever. Cool, great job. You found out how to make money, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But a little while ago, not even that long ago, you actually had to have some talent in order to make it in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get that recognition. And then you needed even more talent to be able to get to that point where it's like, I get the reward for this.
Yeah.
So in order to get to that point, don't you think they had to be pretty intrinsically motivated?
It's a balance. You're not just fully intrinsically motivated or fully extrinsically motivated. There's some give and take there.
Look at this.
I think we should have started with that then.
We
'cause
can
that would've
we
made more
can
sense.
all agree on this for sure. I think the perfect example right now is Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. He did nothing but focus on his craft for 9+ years up until Astroworld, where he really took off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he's famous and we go, dang, dude, this guy is all about the sickest music in the world, right? This is dope, man. This has shaped our 20s, you know, all that stuff. When he's famous, you start to dig back into his crate, and then you realize he's been doing this for 12 years. Was he focused on the fame or not?
You know what the real problem is? If you are mostly extrinsically motivated, then you're more likely to give up on the thing. Because okay, you're just focused on the trophy, you're just focused on the fame. Where, on the other hand, if you're intrinsically mostly intrinsically motivated, you're more likely to just practice the thing for its own sake, and then that's going to be more sustainable. You'll get better, and then eventually you will hit those peaks.
So you want to hit the process as natural as possible.
Yeah, you can
Through
only
repetition.
you can
and-
only sustain so much extrinsic motivation before
Yeah.
it just peters out. But intrinsic motivation, that's
Mhm.
eternal.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
no, but
It's just how are you going to approach this? Okay, you want the rewards of a great performance, but you'd be much better off just focusing on actually practicing and creating a great performance.
yeah, because
You'll get all the other shit eventually.
yeah, that's true.
You don't really need to focus so much on the actual reward.
Well, it's kind of funny to focus on the reward before you did anything to deserve it.
That's what TikTok is. Thank you for saying that definition.
I have a strong distaste for TikTok.
As you
We've
know,
talked so much.
Yeah, I know.
So
I mean,
much smack.
this
on
is like
TikTok.
the what? This is the 58th episode of talking shit on TikTok. It's like
Welcome
literally
back to talking shit on TikTok, episode 58.
Yeah.
So I think
I
a
like
good-
your guys' points though.
I think a good place for us to go
Yeah,
right
good
now
points.
Yeah.
would definitely just be the experiences.
Take a hit of my Coke.
If we said it like that, you think
Take a
people would
hit of my
drink
Coke.
drink Coke as much?
Take a hit of my Instagram.
Maybe.
Take a hit of my Twitter.
Oh, they'd still do it. Come on. They'd still do it.
Yo. No, never mind. I just had a stupid thought for some reason. I was like, dude, what if your
Yo.
phone like had like a needle that injects like dopamine into you?
everything is drugs,
And we didn't know. And you did not know. Like every time you'd use facial recognition, you're holding your phone, a little needle will just poke your freaking index finger
What is?
and just put dopamine into
Every
it.
time you
It
open
is, but there's
Instagram,
no
you're getting a
needle.
dopamine hit.
It's a invisible needle.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, our experiences with flow, we've said a few over the course of the episode, whether it be making movies or playing soccer or writing essays.
Who is Flo?
Do you have any?
Just
She's a lady from the Progressive commercials, but
She's not important.
Dude, I knew she was from a commercial. God damn it. All right.
she's been in those commercials for a while too, since we were like kids. You
Yeah.
remember that shit? Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
God. But are there any specific instances where Flo keeps reoccurring with you? Like, is there?
It keeps progressing.
Oh my god, bro.
I can't, bro. I know who Flo is now.
My
It
dopamine
sucks.
receptors are dying as we
Okay.
speak.
Oh, sorry.
Hey man, that joke was just good insurance for what's to come. Might get a little bland.
No, if anything, we're just strengthening your receptors.
But what was your question again?
Are there any instances where flow
Go first.
commonly is recurring throughout your life, like a specific activity, whether that be even just walking, like
Mhm.
going on a little walk outside,
Yeah.
or
Easy,
anything in particular?
easy. I think I know my triggers by now, and I do think it is a trigger sometimes.
Great word, because that's actually that's a scientifically backed
So-
up thing.
Okay, sick.
Keep going.
So for me, I'm very sound matters, environment, colors. I talk a lot about colors, and it's not just because of cinematography. One of the huge reasons why I'm into cinematography is because of color.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It goes hand in hand. Lighting, color, all that stuff. So it's usually when at least 3 of my senses, which are sight, smell, and sound, hit in like a weird pattern. For example, here's a good example. If I'm out in Big Bear, right, and I see like this circular path of trees with the reflection on the lake and then a snowy mountain in the back, and I can hear the stillness of the wind with crunching of ice on like to my right,
Mm.
and then someone's making coffee to my left, right? And I happen to just have Shalou playing. That music and everything around that would trigger certain memories in my head to way back, and I would feel like almost like a grown-up child in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I've reached internal happiness at that very moment. And it feels like nothing is impossible. Everything is simple. Why do we overcomplicate life and the world? You know?
So you're in more of a you're in a
I'm more-
mental flow.
I'm in a very mental flow a lot of the times. And
Mhm.
it's weird because I can feel it down the back of my neck, kind of like in here. My breathing's different. You can tell my heart rate's down. You know, like everything is hitting so perfectly.
So what I'm gathering is happy things trigger you.
Mhm.
No, I'm kidding.
They trigger me.
I'm triggered by happiness.
Triggered by that.
this guy was squinting for like 2 minutes.
That was- It's like,
Yeah.
yes. It's an interesting profundity
Yeah.
you have stumbled upon in
So
the
it's
Big
a
Bear.
combination
So,
of environment.
From there, yes, it's environment, all that stuff. A lot of it sometimes is the environment that I do create. Like for example, my workspace.
Mm-hmm.
I would have like my monitor. Everything would have to be aligned properly. Like the OCD in me kind of comes out, clean everything up, and then I just like to set up as if it's a professional picture, and that's where I work.
Yeah.
Right. Everything is perfect. Everything's cool, nice. I'm in a good headspace. I know I slept right. I know I ate 3 good meals yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just patterns. You recognize your own patterns, and it's kind of go based off of that, right? And
Nobody-
from there, that's what I know. That's
Nobody
where
understands you better than yourself.
Exactly. And it's because I spent a lot of time alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. But yeah, that's like when I'm outdoors, that's my idea of venturing flow.
I think nature is we
It
can all agree
just-
nature gets you
Yeah,
into that
I feel like
place.
that's where we all kind of
Absolutely.
link, you know? Like we get pissed off when other people play music or something. Like we have
Well,
a-
Please,
Okay, I
don't play
actually-
just don't
fucking
play
Drake
I
at
actually
Joshua Tree or Big Sur. Just please.
I learned that lesson kind of. It wasn't really the hard way, but I was out on this like really crazy hike, and we got to the point where we could like it was the midway point, the place we were trying to get to,
Mhm.
and we were chilling. And I just put some music on my phone, and it's not even anything offensive. It's not rap. It's not. It's not any like crazy metal.
It's tasteful
It's
to the environment.
it's like Hank Williams,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
Andy Williams, like old country honky tonk music.
Damn.
And I'm not even playing it like super loud, but just like a little, like enough for us, all three of us, to hear it. And the most, I guess you could say, experienced wilderness person with us said, "Hey, turn that off." And I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
shoot." And so I turned it off, and I'm like, "Why'd you want me to turn it off?" And he said, "Because this isn't your place to play that." And I was like,
Damn. What an interesting perspective.
And I had a feeling that I knew what he was talking about, but I'm like, well, like, can you elaborate for me? I'm just curious what you mean by that. And he says, well, let me put it like this. If you're in the subway, like say you're in New York or
Mhm.
Boston or whatever, you're on the subway, would you just start blasting music out of your phone?
No.
No.
No. It's a shared space. Just like the wilderness, there might not be a lot of people around you, but when there are, don't disrupt their space. They're out there for the same reason as you, usually, which is peace and quiet or to get away from a big city for a while.
Yeah.
And when you ask most people
I like that.
when you ask most people, have you ever seen somebody who goes against that? They'll be like, "Oh yeah, that guy's an asshole."
Yeah, every time.
Yeah,
You're 100%
every time.
right.
It's like a
Everybody's "Fuck
social
this guy."
norm that you do not cross. Just let everybody be at peace with their own with the environment itself.
Yeah.
You don't have to be blasting your own shit or doing any of that.
What about you, Zaid?
Yeah, man.
Do you have any?
Oh, it's always soccer, man.
Yeah, soccer.
Every
You've already
every practice, I can pick out like 3 or 4 moments. And what's interesting about these moments is that most of the time, I'm doing the action. I'm doing whatever it is, whether it's scoring a goal, making a pass, making space on the field. But the funny thing is that I don't remember most of these moments. Like most of these moments, it's like the car crash incident. Like I do it, but I don't have any inner critic. I'm not thinking about how to do it. It's just like it's a flow state. And oftentimes I look back on like a goal I scored. That's some crazy goal, and I'm just like, how the fuck did I do that? That's a question that I come back to a lot. Like, how did I do that?
Yeah, like you almost can't study it because it's just like it was in the you started with one movement and all of a sudden it's over.
And dude, I can take you back to like 8th grade soccer games at
Mhm.
school, where it's just like I scored a goal in such a specific way, where even after the game, I have teachers and other people coming up to me and they're like, "How the hell did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just did it,
just scored.
just scored."
It's my job. It's put the ball in the net, right?
It's a difficult it's a difficult thing to explain to people, but it's just the case. It's almost like you said. It taps into the unconscious. You don't think about it. You're not in it for any reward. You're just doing it.
Damn.
That's the place I like to be, man.
That's the flow state right there.
It's when
if I've ever heard it
it's when the
described.
conscious meets Microsoft. No, I'm kidding.
Conscious
You're
meets-
just programmed that way. What the hell?
And a lot of people have the same descriptions as well. They're like,
when the conscious meets Microsoft. Now, Bill Gates has been working on that for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we have quotes from, how do
You
you
have
say
the
his
fir-
first name? Ayrton
Ayrton.
Senna and some other drivers that are just
We have
like,
the first prototype right here.
There's
you can mention. I think the second quote describes it best.
from Wayne Gardner.
Yeah.
I would agree. So Ayrton's his quote, I don't even really need to say it to you. I can kind of just describe it to you because
Mhm.
it was the Monaco Grand Prix. So he set a blistering time at the Monaco Grand Prix, like one of the best, craziest, just balls to the walls performances. And if you watch the footage back, it's terrifying because they're in these old cars. It's 1988 technology in
Ooh.
F1. So they have minor aero, but like barely.
Yeah, it's like rumbly.
They're still trying to figure it
Yeah.
all out. The car's still gripped like crazy. Don't get me wrong. It's still an F1 car.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, when you watch like onboard footage back of that race,
It's terrifying.
you can't even see. The car's shaking so fucking violently, pardon my French, that you can't see. Like the camera on board, when it looks down, like it's just a rumble, like an earthquake effect on iMovie of the entire track. So it's like you can't even see the corner till you're essentially already in it.
Wow.
So in that moment, he just had to really just not think about it, because the second you start to think about it, you're already in the wall at the corner.
Mhm.
So it's like he just had to tune in, zone in, and just know the track. That's the thing about the top level drivers, is they know the track. They study it. They go out, they do laps before. They understand what their cornering speed is supposed to be, what gear they should be in, how hard are they braking going into the corner. All stuff like that. So a culmination of all of his racing expertise, knowing the track, preparing, got him to that point where he went mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental.
And it's perfectly described.
What a sight to see!
And it's perfectly described when he says this. And suddenly, I realized that I was no longer driving the car consciously. I was driving it by a kind of instinct. Only I was in a different dimension. It was like I was in a tunnel.
That's why they call it tunnel vision. You're just
Exactly.
It's warp space, bro.
But it's
weird.
not a tunnel that you think. It may feel like people think, oh, it looks like you can only see that. No. It's like that scene in Ford v Ferrari, like that Christian Bale said. He's like, when you're driving really, really fast, the whole world doesn't go. He's like, you don't focus in like this. The world gets big and you see everything. And I guess it's just in that stream of consciousness, like that kind of tunnel.
Yeah, it's when like
It's ultra instinct.
it's like when sound and sight just meet perfectly to where it's almost silent.
Yeah.
You know how like have you ever tried playing a video on two different devices at the same time? And they're completely synced up and you're like, that sounds phenomenal.
I don't think
You haven't done that?
no. Like where you start and stop by yourself? No, I don't think I've ever
Okay,
done that.
I've done that like a couple times, but to get it synced up, it was so weird because it's like one would be off by milliseconds, and you'd just be like, boom, 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 and then like all of a sudden it's synced, and you're just like, oh, it's like I don't know, something about the room changed because
Yeah.
the whole tone changed, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Something was off. Now everything is aligned so perfectly that this is an amazing feeling right now.
Mm.
That's how it is. I think because you know how in film, 80% of what you see is sound.
You're right.
Mm.
Have you ever watched a movie with bad sound?
It's terrible.
It's one of the worst experiences.
Mhm.
And it's happening a lot in modern culture, but it's the way they mix vocals. And all the explosions are so damn loud.
Yeah, and even transitional sounds, bro. Like the train
Yes.
coming in, and then it goes into the next scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that dragging of the sound from the left to the right hits to the next scene on the right. You know, like it's all well thought out. It's science, bro. That's what people don't get.
Mm.
You know, they think it's all visual. No, it's a bunch of senses coming together perfectly.
Now, the description of Senna's experience, that
Yeah.
we can call that a good flow state.
Yes.
It's not like
Mhm.
a life-changing flow state, maybe, but
I feel like Wayne Gardner's is a better description of like what it is.
this
If that
is
makes sense.
his description of it is more like, wow, this changed my entire life.
Would you like to read it?
Almost like a transcendent experience because it is. So here's what he says.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, he won. This is from his victory in the 1990 Australian Grand Prix. But quote, during these last 5 laps, I had this sort of above body experience where I was actually raised up above, and I could see myself racing. It was kind of a remote control, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever had in my life. After the race, somebody asked him, "How the hell did you do that?" His response, "I have no idea."
So in that moment, when Zayd found this quote, he's like, I am Gardner. I'm the Wayne Gardner of soccer.
Now that description right there, that's the potential of the flow.
Zid, how did you find that quote? I have no idea.
How the hell did you find that?
I was in the flow.
You were in a flow though.
Of finding quotes.
But that's what we mean by you are transitioning from the possible to the impossible. You're doing stuff that you're just tapping into a different realm,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks impossible to
It
everybody
feels
else.
out of this world, but it's on this world. It's
Yeah.
so weird, dude.
You're pushing
so
you're
weird.
pushing your limit to the extreme.
I guess we're all ghosts, in a sense.
Throwing out some big statements.
Well, Halloween's over, so it doesn't matter.
What do you mean by ghosts?
yo.
What
We're all dead inside? What?
What
We're
about
all
you?
dead.
Now this is where we get into the discussion with his flow state stuff.
Okay. What do you need to know?
Apparently, okay, you describe.
No, you lead it off.
You
Were about
describe
to, yeah, lead off the
So
conversation.
from what I understand, based off of our previous conversation, you said that you barely get into that state, even though you meet a lot of the requirements to get into it.
Yes.
So why do you think that you don't get into it that much?
I don't know. That's a great question. That's something we didn't dive into when we were talking last time. That's for sure.
Is it something that maybe you were unaware that you've been through?
Well,
Maybe?
let me explain
Yeah.
why I say I don't know. And that ties into the conversation we had that even brought this up in the first place. And Zaid was talking to me before we even recorded this podcast, like, hey, you make music, so like you got to be in the flow state all the time, right? He's like, all those artists, like they're always in the zone, like so it seems. And maybe that's true for a lot of musicians, but for me, I can't get in that zone. And it's always because I'm worried about a million things. Now, those worries, they're not all bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to worry because usually if you're worried about something, that means something needs to change.
Yeah.
Means you care about
That
it.
means you like details and being perfect kind of thing.
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
But like the bad worries, for instance, right, are, is my gear going to work? Like what if these are good in theory, but like I'll explain why I think they're bad.
Mhm.
Like, is the electricity going to go out? Like for the show, if you're doing a live show, is the venue, does it have like proper sound? Like where are the speakers? How are they located? Do I need to adjust the EQing of my set for whatever this concert venue is so I just don't completely blow out the subs or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's take it to the home front. Are all my knobs on all of my guitar pedals exactly 100%? Is that EQing right? I don't know, because when I add this new element, it drowns that out in the low end. Or what about this compression? Sometimes if I have this compression on the master channel, it kind of overrides the whole track, makes it feel a little bit dull.
Dude,
Doesn't
I'm
bring it together.
overwhelmed
Jesus.
right now.
I haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
That's why it's hard to get into the flow
It's very
state.
nitpicky,
Because
especially with that kind of stuff.
there's a million things that you have to think about in
Yeah.
order to go right.
And that's only one song.
Yeah.
So your main issue is getting out of your head.
Here's the thing with soccer that I imagine is different, right?
Mhm.
When you're playing soccer, obviously there's people that you got to get around and you need to work with your teammates.
Yeah.
However, when you're charging for the goal, it's you
Mm-hmm.
versus the goalie.
Yeah.
That's like the only primary problem.
Fair enough.
And the majority of the time, I imagine you could get it past them.
Mhm.
If like it's just you charging, there's no other defenders, it's just the goalie, you're not going to have a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
With making music, imagine there's like 500 goalies in front of you that you have to run past.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little bit harder to like get into that flow state in my mind.
Okay, so
And they're all different size goalies. One's fucking 7'5", 350, unbelievable build.
I'm talking
Like-
about when everything is to a good, everything is not maybe to your standard, but it's good. Let's say you're playing the guitar, for example. You play for how long on average?
Every day, probably like anywhere from an hour to 2.
Now you never get into that state when you're playing.
No. And this was one of the things that we talked about, actually. And for me, it's not a flow state per se. What it is it's my body's pre-programmed in a way from years of playing to know what sounds good where. And then all I do from there is I try to just mess with the formula a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires a lot of conscious thought, at least for me.
Yeah, because you need the capacity up here.
Because the thing that sucks, at least for me, about making music is the problems go away once the song is completed.
Yeah.
Or if you're on stage, same thing, the song's over. So in that moment for me, I don't have time to be in the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get lost in it because I need to worry about what everybody else is doing. And that's what musicians have to do. They have to be very aware in the moment.
Mm.
Because you need to be like, is that drummer off or am I off? And then you have to think, okay, where's everybody else at in the track? Then you have to listen to the singer. Is he on time? You have to listen to the bass player. Is he on time? Or is the bass player fighting with the drummer to see who controls this track? And then if that's the case, which one are you going to pick? The majority of the time, it's going to be the drummer because they're the ones that people like usually feel the most. In this case, or modern days, it's more bass, but usually you stick with the drummer if he's good at keeping time.
Yeah.
Pray to God that he is.
Yeah. No, that's very, very complicated, obviously, because
Yeah.
you guys are choreographed. Plus, you guys need to know your sound, and then with the way our ears pick up, we're obviously a little bit off usually.
Yeah.
So the rhythm is very important.
I just
The
find that so
timing-
interesting.
It is interesting.
There's just a lot of things that you need to think about, like too many for you to actually get into the flow state. Like for instance, at some concert venues, they have speakers that face you so you can hear yourself play, so you just don't hear like a delayed version that's bouncing back off the back of the room realistically, or some other physics reasons. But sometimes by having those speakers that are facing you, they have a delay on them. So everybody's out of time. And then that fucks everybody up. And then you need to learn how to adjust to that. How do I play my guitar and how does everybody else play their instrument in terms of this delay with the speakers that are facing us so it sounds normal to everybody else back there?
So
It's insane.
So
So
I'm
then-
thinking maybe the flow state's overrated. Maybe it's like you get your intuition to such a degree when it comes to in one certain field that because you produce good music, you produce good
Thank you.
stuff. So maybe it's just I don't know. I think in that case it's probably overrated.
Because the thing with the flow state, or at least from my understanding of it, is it's way better in like a physical sports setting. Anything you're doing that's like physical, obviously playing a live show is a very physical
Mhm.
action. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take a lot out of you by the end of it. You're going to be very sweaty. Your voice, if you're singing, is going to be shot. If you're playing guitar, your arms are tired. If you're a drummer, everything hurts. Hands, legs, arms, shoulders.
Okay, so
Knees and
what
toes.
about physical activity?
Physical activity, it's more important because it allows you to get more in tune with the environment and your body.
No, like what about your experience with physical activity?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
a run,
sure.
for example, or
Runs for me, I don't know if I would call this the flow state or if I just call it shutting my brain off. Because
I
like
would
when I go
consider that
on,
a flow
when I
state.
go on runs, I shut my brain off because the pain barrier can be like so great sometimes that I'm just like, if I think about it, I'm gonna stop running because it hurts like pretty bad. So I'm like, I just shut my brain off, but I'm not focused on how to get the run. Like it's not like my body's subconsciously taking over.
Mhm.
It's just like me trying to have an active, or better yet, a non-active brain in that instance.
Mhm.
So you're getting in the zone.
I don't know.
I would
be a-
say that's a
could be-
flow state.
I think that is a flow state.
I think a
I'd say
better
a mild
example of a
form.
flow state would be like a workout,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like in the gym. Like workouts for me feel like they're an hour and a half, but when I look down at the clock, it was only like 35 minutes. And
Boom.
I did a bunch of shit
Yeah.
in between the time I started and the time I ended. Like a lot of sets, a lot of reps. I'm not the biggest, strongest guy.
So
in the
you're
world.
not an
do you
anomaly,
see
you
the
do get
do you
into
see
it.
the difference? No.
Well, not with music, but I never said I didn't get into it.
Okay, that's where I was confused.
I think to get into the flow state, like this is my opinion and my own experience, it's to be as present as possible.
100%.
Like with all the three different experiences you just said, I feel like being present, the most present you were was at the gym, which is why that kind of hit.
Or a really good one was actually
You're a solo connection with your mind to your body. That's
I'd
all it
say
is.
the best example is if you have something. So the gym, obviously, you're grabbing onto weights and you're pulling and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it's a good example, but I feel like a better one would be like a sport. Not to say that lifting isn't, but I mean like something where there's something that isn't attached to your body that you have to throw or use to hit something else
Mhm.
or use to get from point A to point B.
It makes more sense because in sports you're getting more immediate feedback. Or at
Exactly.
least you have a more crystal clear concept of
Yeah.
immediate feedback.
Think of this. How many times have you heard someone say, sorry, could you repeat that? I'm still in work mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why is that a
I've
mode?
been there.
Why is that not
Mm.
flow state? Because I believe that it's flow state.
I
Mhm.
agree.
Maybe it's not a high level, but
It is
It is
regardless.
a flow state. Like
Oh.
you were so present with that whatever the hell you were doing, and you're so focused on the you know how much time you have to do it, and you know what time you're leaving, and everything else. So what you do is you go, all right, 3, 2, 1, start working. That's it. All of a sudden, you forget you have a phone.
Hmm.
You forget you have a family. You forget everything in the world except for this task that you just have to take care of right now. And
That's why I'm a fan
absolute-
of meditation.
absolute flow. And dude, yeah, meditation is always going to help you go make it easier to go in and out of flow state.
It's because honestly,
It's
like the biggest
calmness.
obstacle to getting in the state is your inner critic. You have these thoughts constant. It's what the mind does. It
Yeah.
just thinks all day.
Think about it. If you leave your phone alone, right? You're losing more and more influence, right? Now, as human beings, we're going to look for influence. What better influence to look at than yourself?
Or the present moment,
The present moment.
everything around you.
Exactly. Keywords: environment, present moment. What is it? Breathing,
Conscious
meditation,
awareness.
calmness. Like goals, it's just I think I have simplified it in my mind because I've done it so much.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like I would love for everyone to do it because it really helps you in life.
And well, speaking of getting everybody to do it, we do have a few tips for the listeners.
We do?
We do.
A few practical tips.
On how to potentially enter the flow state or on how to
How
In a
to
sense,
enter
recognize-
God mode. It's a good description of it.
there you go.
And his
So-
name is Johnson.
The first tip for intrinsic motivation that leads to the flow state
I'd consider this a mental tip.
is
So I would consider this a mental tip. I have a long answer to this.
say the simple one first.
So it's the 3 key components. You have autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Was it the simple?
It's like I said a whole ass intro for no reason.
Kiss my ass.
All right. Pick one thing and become world class at it. Is that what we're at?
I mean, yeah, you can't get around fucking practice. If you want to get into the flow state, pick one thing and just practice every day. Hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's probably the most dumbed down version of how to get into it
Yeah,
possible.
repetition.
Yeah.
Repetition of something.
What say you?
Did you even mention autonomy yet?
Oh no, I thought we were getting to that later.
What do you mean we're getting to that later? It's the first one on the list.
He mentioned the thing at the bottom. Anyways, so autonomy is basically you have to feel like you're in control of screw you of whatever it is that you're doing. Now I'm convinced that people who work office jobs, for example, if they have a boss and they view the job negatively, I don't think they're getting into flow at all. It's because they don't have that feeling of
Yeah.
control within their lives.
They're getting into panic. That's what it is.
Yeah, they need
Yeah.
autonomy
Getting
motivates us
into
to think
stagnation.
creatively. Creatively? The fuck?
Creatively.
Jesus
you said that
Christ.
correctly.
Yeah. And then we have mastery, which is of course, as I put it, you have to develop a love for the process itself.
Absolutely.
And this goes back to process versus outcome. So can't focus too much on the reward. Sure, put the reward in your mind, but focus on creating a world-class performance.
So to summarize, the 2 a.m. podcasts, 3 big tips. Autonomy. Let your body work for you. Your mind on the subconscious level will get you where you need to go
Beautifully
in the
said.
flow state. Tip number 1. Tip number 2 is mastery, or better yet, an attempt at becoming a master. Now, that could be in any aspect of your life, whether it's work, whether it be an activity you like to do, or whether it be relationships. You can get into the flow state with your wife,
Yeah.
girlfriend, whoever.
100%.
Group
Sometimes you
flow
get
is
in
a
the
real
zone.
thing.
So it's working at that to be better, or better yet, to be a better version of yourself in that regarded field. And tip number 3 is purpose. Why am I doing this? Is there a reason for me to do this to better myself?
And the more specific that
Can-
reason, the better.
Exactly. Can I lay out a path on how to
Mhm.
get there? A path for success. Find your purpose if you want to get into the flow state.
Greatest fucking seminar I've ever heard.
Speaking of a seminar, thank you very much for joining us on episode 58 of the 2 a.m. podcast.
Wait, I also have a little practical tip.
One last little tidbit.
For all you technology geeks, you can download the app called Brain.fm. I do think you have to. It's a monthly subscription. But
Not a sponsor.
not a sponsor, by the way.
Good one.
But essentially, they use AI, artificial intelligence, to create specific sounds and music to get you into the flow state, and also naps, sleep, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So
But-
use the thing that we've been bashing since the beginning of this podcast's inception to get you to the flow state.
no, it works. It's a motherfucker. It
Yeah.
works so well.
What is it? Brain.fm?
Brain.fm.
Brain.fm.
Yeah, get all the sound waves you need. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. I hope you learned something today about the flow state.
I
and
learned something.
Hell yeah. That's what we like
What'd
to
you
do.
That's
learn?
it. I learned something.
What'd you learn?
So you're gonna close out this podcast?
All right, fine. I'll close it off. To find out what Logan heard, or what Logan learned today.
What I learned.
What Logan learned today. Just follow us on Instagram at officially 2 a.m. Actually, is it? No, it's our YouTube.
I can't believe you fucked up our handle, bro.
Yeah.
No, it's at the 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's at the
podcast.
2 a.m. podcast at Instagram.
At the 2 a.m.
Officially,
It's-
2 a.m. is our YouTube.
Yeah, at officially 2 a.m. at YouTube. Please subscribe and like. Leave us a comment. We love you. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, man. We'll catch you next time.
Can I get a 1, 2,
Two,
a 1, 2, 3,
and
4?
Peace.